All righty. All righty. Hello, Miss Hankins. Thanks for meeting with me this evening. How are you today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I love your earrings. Yes,
Oh, thank you so
yes,
much.
I like that. All righty. So thanks for meeting with me today. Today we are going to discuss the second lesson that you observed for Peter. So that particular lesson was the one on synonyms and antonyms. I tried to kind of make it an extension of the one on syllables. Um, just trying to kind of keep it in that same area, I guess you could say. But it was the synonyms and the antonyms. And then I tried to extend it with, I brought homonyms in on the end of it. That was interesting. Um, but yeah, so like I said, I wanted to try to connect it to the syllables, but still keep it within the confines of phonetic or phonemic awareness. And so um, we know that he didn't do so well on the first lesson, um,
Hmm.
but I didn't want to make the second lesson the exact same lesson. So I still wanted to try to push a little bit, just thinking about those skills that fall within those five areas for phonemic awareness, but not necessarily having to go all the way back down to like, sight words or the alphabets or rhyming words and things like that. He's pretty much mastered those skills. So
Hmm.
within the confines of phonemic awareness, but pushing him beyond the areas that I think that he does fairly well in. Because even when you if it's not like difficult of a reading passage, if we keep it right about first or second grade, he's able to read fluently. So I didn't want to make it about per se, pushing the reading beyond where he is already. I think that he does well, and he also gets that additional intervention in RTI with the reading.
Hmm.
I didn't want this lesson to be, just more of the same. I kind of wanted to switch it up just a little bit and introduce another skill that he doesn't necessarily see um, within, the confines of the class and, how the class is set up. Because I know in his RTI class, he was at a higher level for a little while and he was doing well. And he I guess you could say like he had consistent data, but we just dropped him down from like grade, I think it was grade 5 to grade 4 or from grade 4 to grade 5. So I already know that like daily there's um, you know, a whole lesson being taught on, reading and reading fluency. And
Hmm.
I just didn't want to do more of the same with him because I know that that's already being addressed. So that's why I kind of went with the synonyms and the antonyms, just to push a little bit.
Well, of course, I always like a double dose of things. So even if those other things, kind of intertwine and come up, of course, it's going to be nothing but a plus for the scholars. I do want to highlight, some of the pluses. I thought the things that went well during the lesson, from the intro, that first activity where you recall a lot of the things from your previous lessons, with the syllables. I thought he did a good job. I think he felt comfortable with that lesson. These were things that he knew. With some of the things that you question about, I can tell, he was confident in responding, and you gave him, the right pace of time. At like one or two places, you kind of gave him a little hint to help him. And I know that was, for time's sake, just to go ahead and help him with those lessons. And, I won't say that that's a bad thing, because this is, it's not a test. We want him to learn the skills. So it doesn't hurt, for those little prompts here and
Okay.
there. And we already know that, those frustration levels can come up. So I know you were trying to avoid those things from
Yes.
happening.
And without me like coddling, because I know that,
Correct.
when I see them struggle, the first thing is to run to their aid and be like, here's the answer. You don't have to struggle through it. But I know grappling with, the unknowns and things is really the only way that they're gonna, persevere through.
Yeah.
And it sticks. What good am I doing to him if I continuously attempt to give him the answer? Or
Right.
many hints that he doesn't have to work through to search for the answer.
Right. So yeah, like I said, here and there, it's definitely okay to do that. As far as him being engaged, he was a lot more engaged this time. I felt like, because he would say more specifically, the strategies you use, because these are things he likes to do all the time. And so he was willing to participate. He didn't get defeated, even if he didn't know something, but you were really quick with pointing out, the good things he had done. So all that praise, I think, kind of took his mind off of if he possibly got something incorrect. So before I get into anything that I feel like you need to work on, I do want to ask, what do you think went well, and what are some things that you possibly would refine for the next lesson?
I think that um the games like within the Nearpod, where it was like the fill in the blank games. I think that went really well. He did well initially with the informal assessment on the fill in the blanks. So I knew that I wanted to incorporate that into the lesson. I think he did better on like the synonyms than he did on the antonyms. And I think that may just be um, I'm more of a math person, so I tend to kind of tie it to math, but you know how we always tend to see children do a lot better with addition and then struggle with subtraction. I think I kind of compare the synonyms and the antonyms to that. I think with the synonyms being words that are alike is once you understand the word, you just pick other words that's pretty much that same word. Whereas with the antonyms, um, being like the opposite or the different, you have to fully understand opposites and differences. And sometimes there could be a struggle there because they're not the same. Um, and so I think it went really well with the fill in the blank, with the synonyms, but I noticed that he kind of struggled when we did like the puzzle game for the antonyms. And then it was always, I knew it was a stretch where I was trying to extend the lesson for homonyms, just because I mean you want to, if you can push, you push. um he didn't seem to grasp the homonyms at all, like bear and bear, because it really required like foundational vocabulary that I think wasn't necessarily covered previously, and because of the sake of time it was kind of like a gamble. I'll just throw it in, if he gets it, he gets it. If he doesn't, it'll be something that we can maybe come back to. But my focus was merely centered around, just the synonyms and the antonyms, what things are like, what things are different, and then hoping that he can kind of grasp the homonyms. Um, if I had to redo it, I would maybe offer the antonyms and the fill in the blank um, in the same way as the fill in the blank versus changing it to the puzzle, because he seemed to be a little um frustrated with the puzzle. And I don't know if it was because of the blocks, you know, how you have to fill in, you know, one individual letter per puzzle. Um, you know, and fill in the blank is just a, you know, fill up just a blank line and you just, you know, fill in for the line. Or if it's just that the fill in the blank is more familiar from worksheets and things from before. Um, but I would say I would maybe do that, or I would just reteach the lesson and we would just do not the exact same words, but just reteach the lesson with different words just to kind of build his capacity for understanding things, you know, words that are the same and then words that are different. You know, more so than I guess I would possibly changing the way I, you know, have the little interactive pieces. Because it's really not about being able to fill in the blank or the puzzle, but really understanding the words that are the same and the words that are different.
Right. I agree with the same observations. I think the fill in the blank is something, like you said, he's familiar with, and you know, I think he's getting a lot more comfortable with the computer and doing the Nearpod pieces. So maybe with the puzzle, it may just be find an easier skill to introduce the puzzle with than with him learning a new skill.
Okay.
Because as you said, you want him to, the goal is the mastering the skill and not necessarily that activity. And
Right.
so if the activity is new and different, that can just totally just take over the point of let's work on this skill. So that would be something I would say, you know, maybe something to work on or to refine for the next lesson. And then the pushing him with the homonyms, that is just, you know, putting in some higher level thinking, some skills in there. So I wouldn't necessarily back away from it. Just maybe not more than one, two, just to
Okay.
introduce, and it may be more so of you know, have a place where it's introduced, where you do some modeling of it, some examples of it, maybe from a storybook, or even you know, something really easy for him to, you know, to complete and be successful with it. You line it up to where you only have one thing to match, or something, so you have no
Okay.
choice but to be successful. So create the boundary so that he is successful in there. But like I said, the other things he was familiar with, and I could tell he was really engaged. He enjoyed the activity. And the frustration level was totally different for this lesson than previously.
The previous. Yeah, he I mean it was even the I'm trying to think of the one where it's like the little where you pick the avatar and you go up the
Oh,
mountain like every time you get one right.
oh yeah,
You know, maybe
yeah.
even doing the you know, just changing up the activity like that way because he seemed to do pretty good with that. I think it's think to climb or climb to think or something like that. I know that he and I don't know if it's because he's a male, um, but he tends to do really well with like interactive lessons versus just the talking. And then you know that just could be his personality, but he's very game oriented. So if you present it in a way where it's like a game, it seems to be more engagement in the game, you know, in the game world. So maybe doing that. Would you suggest maybe doing homonyms is just like a lesson all by itself?
Oh, most definitely. Eventually, you would have to do that. We know from his IEP and his psyche valve things that we can already anticipate happening because of, behavior wise, I'll say. So yes, I would definitely plan to do the homonyms as a separate lesson. And then you can recall the synonyms and antonyms during that lesson.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's great information. And something to think ahead on. Something to think ahead on. Um, all righty. Well, thank you very much. I mean, I don't have any other questions. Did you have any other?
I don't. I think the next steps are clear with where you're going for your next lesson, and even strategies of things that you can add or take away for the next time. So no, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you very much. I sent like blank copies of the rubrics for you. So will you just email those back for me?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
I'll email that back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, all righty. I owe you dinner, lunch, or something for me.
You do not.
So much of your time over these 4 videos. But I really, really appreciate it. And you are just wonderful, wonderful. So thank you, thank you. And I'll see you soon.
You are most welcome. Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.